So yeah, the second one that I had missed is YouTube's Darkest Channels 7 that came out 2 weeks ago. Let's watch it.
Tell you what we're gonna do today more than anything.
I guess we just saw, you know, fucked up TV stuff, so now let's see fucked up YouTube stuff to see that there isn't much of a difference.
Else, we're gonna do this. Nice guy must die. Nice guy must die. Nice guy must die.
What? I did not.
This is my house from the street.
Interesting.
Here is my car.
Is it actually
This is
released?
a 2-bedroom brick ranch, conveniently located.
It's the final day of February 2008. A 47-year-old man living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania named George Sedini publishes his very first video to YouTube under the channel MOS B46PGH.
I paid $79,000 for this in 1996. That's considered
Just-
a lot. Believe it
That
or
is.
not.
The upload, titled How George
79,000
Pittsburgh Lives, was
for
almost
an
like an
house.
old-school house tour of sorts, as George proudly displays the outside of his home before then doing
Bro, look at this. 79,000, he says that's a
the
lot.
same inside.
Open it up.
Against the French.
Oh, someone left it unlocked. That's not
Fair
good.
enough. Russian propaganda, I guess.
Okay. Pan to the
Napoleon
other
won.
side.
Of
Seemingly
course.
making a point of mentioning every minute feature in the otherwise dim and empty home.
Here's my big screen TV. It's my computer, couch and chair. They match. Dining room set.
Video about it.
shoebox
Sounds
full
interesting,
of
yeah.
old Pictures.
To anyone who may have stumbled upon this strange video or Sedini's channel in general back in 2008, it would likely come off as entirely uninteresting and
Seems
far from
normal.
anything disturbing. However,
House
to those who
tour.
find it today, this couldn't be more different, as the account carries with it a layer of disturbing context due to the events that transpired after this first video was published, events that have since transformed the MOS B46PGH page
This guy looks like
into one of
Henry
YouTube's
Rollins.
darkest channels.
Please meet every woman's
Do
dream.
something so she remembers your name.
Keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust. Just be careful, is all I can say.
I'm gonna post
YouTube's
this
Darkest
when it
Channels.
comes back.
Episode 7. After these messages. Back.
I'm sure most of you guys have heard about the TikTok ban at this point. And honestly, there's something about it that's been bothering me. You or I could do a simple Google search and in a matter of seconds find countless different data broker websites where you can buy pretty much anyone's personal data for just a few bucks. And not only can anyone do that, but it's
Just
also
like Unibic.
perfectly legal. If you watched the news at all last year, you were bound to see countless different big companies with terrible security getting hacked and having their data leaked. But as much as those companies claim to be the victims, it was our data that was leaked onto the dark web. Data like your phone number, your email, your home address, and even your social security number. So if the government could ban TikTok over data privacy issues, then why aren't they doing more to protect us from these shady practices that are actually affecting our day-to-day lives? The reality is it's on us to take care of our own
Money.
safety. And that's why I
It
use
makes a lot of
Aura,
money.
today's sponsor. They identify these data brokers that sell my info online and submit opt-out requests on my behalf, as well as keeping an eye on the dark web for me, sending me alerts if they find out my personal information has been exposed. They'll even immediately give you a heads up if someone tries to use your data to access your credit or bank accounts. That kind of proactive protection is literally priceless nowadays. So if
Always
you're
get on my email address, I always get, you know, for all that kind of stuff that I don't care or haven't used, like someone tried to log in into your, you know, Sony account. I often get like Sony account password, like password change notification, but I never do it. So someone is always trying to hack my Sony account. But I guess since I never actually, you know, they can't get into my email since I do, you know, two-factor and everything. So then I guess they're always stuck, but they always try. Every couple of weeks or months, I get a new notification about, you know, click here to change your, you know, Sony password, but of course I don't do it. It's really funny.
ready to take control of your
Someone
online
is very
safety, go
motivated.
to my link at aura.com/NickCrowley to get your first 14 days completely free, which will give Aura more than enough time to see if any of your personal information is floating around out there on the web. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect yourself today.
I'm protected. Always be safe and protected.
Little hallway, 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms. To the right is my bedroom.
Without any context, it's hard to know what the purpose of George Sedini's first video was, if it even
Still.
had one at all. The entire thing just felt so random. But within the footage itself was one clue that hints at the fact that George actually had a very specific reason for uploading this, with that clue coming in the form of a book on his coffee table.
Okay, come over here. There's some reading material that we're all familiar with.
It
Office
was called
politics.
How to Date Young Women for Men Over 35, which was about as creepy as it sounded.
My first guest today is a 51-year-old bachelor who says if you're a single woman over 30, you're a dating has-been. Please meet every woman's dream,
Has been.
Don Steele. You can apply.
Its author, Don Steele, had made a living as a dating counselor and life coach, creating various books and programs that were geared towards socially awkward men, exploiting them with the promise that someday they'll be able to get the younger girl of their dreams, even after they reached middle adulthood, and all that they had to do was pay for his course, pay for the book, and dedicate themselves to becoming more desirable. And George Sedini was the perfect target. Despite having a successful career as a systems analyst at a law firm, he struggled to maintain any relationships with the women that he met. It had been well over a decade since he last had a girlfriend, and despite desperately wanting one, George just seemed to lack the ability to connect with women on any level, even as just friends. And as his isolation began to grow, so too did his obsession with finding a girlfriend.
I'm sure we can see where this is going.
George had nearly given up these pursuits too, until he was introduced to Don Steele's course, viewing the program as his last real shot at human connection, obsessively reading the book to the point that he was supposedly able to recite passages by memory alone. On top of this, he would also attend many of this supposed guru's in-person seminars, with some of his visits even being captured on camera and later posted onto Don Steele's YouTube channel.
It used to be down here. It was called a codpiece, and it's gradually over the years moved up here. So it's read like an erect you-know-what.
And it was in these courses where George was subjected to all sorts of bizarre and unsettling ideology.
Turn around here, look at me, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today more than anything else. We're going to do this. Nice guy must die.
But despite agreeing with this man wholeheartedly and following all of his work, George was still making very little progress, which was evident by the footage of him attending these seminars, as he appears incredibly nervous and kept mainly to himself. And so, recognizing that George had much to improve on, he was given an assignment by one of his instructors. He was told to film a video of his house, so that the instructors and everyone else in the class could see if he was really making himself and his environment desirable enough to any woman who might come over.
Okay, couch and chair, they match.
I mean, this place is nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Knowing this, the footage feels so much lonelier, as it was almost like he was trying to sell his way of living as being good enough for a partner that he was really no closer to finding. There's something so depressing about it. And this wasn't his only video.
Alright.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day. Take a long drive in the car, listen to some music, daydream, or just do some mundane task around the house that really doesn't need to be done, that's not too important. And there you go, one more day, and one more day turns into one more year.
Months later, on June 23rd, 2008, George would return with an upload he had filmed inside of his basement, and in it we get more insight on just how severe his isolation had become, though he still held on to a sliver of optimism thanks to Don Steele's course.
It's really cold, huh?
Now, RDS says that I have approximately maybe 15 more years to be successful at this, and when I heard that, I wanted to continue immediately to start moving on this. I didn't realize I had that much time. So what my objective is to be real and to learn to be emotional and to be able to emotionally connect with people.
Before he eventually reverts back to talking about his uncanny
He's really someone who seems to have been brainwashed. Yeah.
Because when I'm 10 to 20 years older than she is, she has to feel good about this thing.
Ending the video with hints of an uncertain future.
I'm going to post this and see what comes back.
He would never upload.
Okay, but like stating the obvious, but why does he only want like super young girl? I mean, if he's like already so bad like getting girls and all that, you feel like he would be like one of those people that's, on the other hand, is so horny for anybody, right? That he goes for like anybody who shows interest in him. So it's like you're already so bad at like getting girls, but then you like put a freaking limit or something. Reminds me of Christian, right? Internet meme and Lolca, right? And he had this thing, as he kept getting older, he would always say like, I want a girlfriend between 18 to 21 to 22 to 23. But he would always like have it super low like that and with a super like crazy like requirements, despite the fact that he couldn't get girl, right? So it's one of the things where like some of the incel type who seem to not be able to get girl rather than like, you know, the logical thing of like stop having such crazy like demands. On the other hand, they have like such crazy like requirements that it makes even less sense. I don't know. Like
again. And soon after, it appears George gave up trying, essentially accepting his life of loneliness. But while this would be the last video made to his channel, he wouldn't leave the internet entirely. Soon after this final video was posted, a website was launched called GeorgeSedini.com, which served as a place for George to blog about his emotions. And while something like this could have been beneficial for him, this website would instead only serve to capture his descent into madness. An immediate red flag was raised by the very first text you see on the website, as George wrote, "Why do this? To young girls? Just read below. I kept a running log that includes my thoughts and actions after I saw this project was going to drag on," with the line serving as some sort of bizarre disclaimer, though with no other context. George's entries began. December 22nd, 2008. Time is moving along. Plan to have this done already. I will just keep a running log here as time passes. Many of the young girls here look so beautiful as to not be human,
kidnap someone?
Very edible. After joining this gym, started lifting weights and like
edible.
This early post encapsulates what this blog would be focused on. Young women he would see throughout the day, his time at the gym, and his plan. This plan was never expressly stated on the website, but it was something he obsessed over, mentioning it in every single one of his posts.
This is such
and
incel behavior,
the exit plan, even going as far as to provide a date and time for it, January 6th, 2009 at 8:15 p.m. Before this day would come, however, he would provide further insight into just how lonely he was. Moving into Christmas again, last Christmas with Pam was in 1983. Who knows why? I'm not ugly or too weird. No sex since January 1990 either. I was 29. No shit. Over 18 years ago. I actually look good. I dress good. I'm clean shaven, bathe, touch of cologne. Yet 30 million women reject me.
Man, this is such incel writing. Seriously, reminds me of Elliot Roger. Yeah. Also, like, can't he just pay for girl if he's really like that damn bad? Or is it another thing where like he has this weird like mental thing of like, I only want to, girl will want me or something?
18 or 25-year period. That's how I see it. 30 million is my rough guesstimate of how many desirable single women there are. With several other posts of the same nature, the day eventually came for his big exit plan, January 6th, with George writing one message that afternoon. I can do this. This log is not detailed. It is only for confidence to do this. The future holds even less than what I have today. It is 6:40 p.m., about an hour and a half to go. God have mercy. I wish life could have been better for all, and the crazy world can somehow run smoother. I wish I had answers. Bye.
What is he gonna do?
Despite this appearing to be his final post, George Sedini wasn't quite finished, as he would come back only hours later, writing simply, "It's 8:45 p.m. I chickened out. Shit. I brought the loaded guns, everything." Whatever George Sedini had been planning
That's good, but I still feel like he's gonna do
his
it.
exit plan was something incredibly disturbing, and based on his use of guns, plural, it was likely not just an exit plan for himself.
Mass shooting, yeah.
But thankfully, he didn't go through with it. In fact, he seemed to have dropped the plan entirely, as months would go by without any update to his blog. Though this wouldn't last, as in April of 2009, he began posting yet again, with these entries being even more disturbing. July 23rd, 2009. Wow, I just looked out my front window and saw a beautiful college-age girl leave Bob's house across the street. I guess he got a good lay today. College girls are hoes. I masturbate frequently. He is about 45 years old. She was long-haired, hot little hottie with a beautiful bod. I masturbate frequently. The strangest part of this entire website
I don't want to laugh.
According to those,
I don't want to laugh because I know he's gonna do something fucked up. But man, it's insane because usually like, these days, everybody has this perception, it's mostly like younger guys, right, that are like this kind of like incel behavior, right, of just obsessing over girl, saying like they want them, but also they hate them and everything at the same time. But man, this guy is like in his 40s or 50s, and that was back in 2009, and he's like this. I mean, how can you even have like a job and like all the job when you're like this? Like, is it just good at acting normal at this job? I mean, insane.
Those he worked with and the neighbors, they all thought George was normal. A little off, sure, but it appeared that these disturbing thoughts and plans were kept solely in his blog and solely in his mind. But on July 28th, 2009, this would all change.
Man.
George had boarded a Port Authority bus that day and took a seat, carrying with him some sort of duffel bag, and as the ride commenced, he unzipped the bag and began to fiddle with something inside of it. An anonymous man sitting next to him noticed this and curiously leaned over to see what he was doing.
Gun.
In George Sedini's hand was what appeared to be a grenade.
A grenade.
The stunned passenger ran off at the next stop and immediately alerted the police. But bizarrely, nothing actually came of this. No explosions happened that day, and upon police eventually tracking down Sedini 2 days later, he was searched, but there was no sign of this supposed grenade, and the man who had reported this incident was unable to positively identify him. And so, George was released, allowing him to continue on with his day, and to continue on with his posting.
Fuck.
August 3rd, 2009. I took off today, Monday, and tomorrow to practice my routine and make sure it was well polished. I need to work out every detail. There is only one shot. Also, I need to be completely immersed into something before I can be successful. I haven't had a drink since Friday at about 2:30. Total effort needed. Tomorrow is the big day. Last time I tried this in January, I chickened out. Let's see how this new approach works. Maybe soon, I will see God and Jesus.
Oh my god.
This was the
And I mean, I'm guessing this is such an obscure blog that, like, no one was reading it. But even if they were, I guess nothing would happen. I remember, like, some story of stuff like that, of some YouTuber posting video about how they were about to do a mass shooting, but the subscriber didn't believe it or something. So again, even though this is like a very deep, like, unknown blog, I guess even if it was a popular blog, I don't know if it could be stopped. Hello, Pom. Discord, sure.
Final update
Thank
made
you.
to GeorgeSedini.com, and unlike his previous attempt at carrying out this exit plan, this time, he didn't back out.
So many
On
opportunities
August
stopped him.
4th, 2009, George Sedini would enter an LA Fitness in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, and walk directly into a woman's aerobics class with a duffel bag in his hand.
Oh my
He then
God.
dropped his bag on the floor with a loud bang before he closed the door and shut off all the lights. In a moment of darkness and confusion, one witness recalled that she felt the presence of someone who didn't belong there. Before total panic would ensue, everyone was just screaming so loud. At first, I didn't even think shots were being fired. It was so surreal. At that moment, George Sedini had brandished 2 guns from his bag and opened fire on the group of 30, all of whom were
Wow.
women, which was
30.
entirely the point.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
that dark, cramped room, George would discharge his weapon 52 times, striking 12 different women and then himself. Of the injured, 49-year-old Elizabeth Gannon, 38-year-old Jody Billingsley, and 46-year-old Heidi Overmeyer would tragically lose
Get
their
better,
lives,
fam.
while the others were left with
Get
permanent
better.
injuries, both physical and mental.
Seems like a miracle not more died.
It wasn't hard to find a motive. George had spelled it out right there in his blog. He desired women so much that his inability to ever gain a real connection with any of them turned his infatuation into pure hatred.
It is very much like Elliot Roger. I mean, I'm sure you guys know about him. He was a YouTuber who used to post manifesto video like this about how all girls hated him, and you know, the girls only like the cool guys and not him. And actually, he was so great, and they were wrong for not liking him. And eventually, he posted a video saying that yeah, he was gonna go on a killing spree, and he did. It seems very much the same thing. Like, it's such a fucked up way to develop your brain into thinking that yeah, like, I'm gonna kill them because they don't like me, even though, you know, like, in the end he just ended up killing probably random women that he didn't even know. It's just insane. How does your brain get to that point?
And this is how he wanted to make them pay. And the ironic
Like, I understand getting to the point of thinking, you know, I'm so worthless, no one likes me, let me kill myself, but killing others because they don't like you, I don't know.
part is that this was all so avoidable, as these plans were heavily implied on his website, which had been publicly available online for roughly an entire year.
Yeah,
Yet
but wasn't
no one
anyone
cared
reading
enough
it?
about him to ever look.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day.
Knowing what we know now, George's channel is highly disturbing, as it shows us a glimpse into a mind on the verge of completely snapping, and a last gasp attempt at achieving normalcy by a person who would go on to become a monster when he didn't get what he wanted.
Like, I guess the problem is that I think he could have been steered in a different direction if, you know, he didn't end up in like that guru cult of love, right? Like, I don't know. Like, clearly they put more wrong idea into his head. He kept going as he couldn't get any girl, and it ended up like that. I don't know who he should have went to see if he wanted like help with his troubles, like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or whatever it is. Maybe they could have done something, but definitely not some bullshit cult of like love guru, right?
Just everything I need. Well, that about sums it up.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis.
Man. Fucked up.
Just having a little drink.
Chapter 2.
Mark Williams always dreamed of being a YouTuber.
Parkour.
He had grown up watching parkour content on the site, becoming attached to both its many talented creators and the hobby itself, eventually becoming so inspired by it that he launched his own channel in 2019 at the age of just 15, with Mark hoping that someday this channel would make that dream of his come true. The page went by many names over the years, but eventually Mark would settle on the moniker Displace, and depending on who you ask, his videos were either extremely impressive or extremely irresponsible. They showed scenes of Mark high atop buildings, jumping rooftop to rooftop, climbing on massive abandoned cranes, and fleeing from security guards and the cops on more than a few occasions.
Police are on the way already now. Yeah, they'll catch me then, won't they?
That's parkour
Often
for
seen
you.
with him was his younger brother, who he had grown incredibly close with, which was due in part to the fact that Mark was somewhat of a loner and didn't have many friends in his own personal life. Though according to his mother, this wasn't necessarily by choice, as she explained that he did desperately want friendship, and he was incredibly caring, he just had a habit of making the wrong friends, describing Mark as trusting to a fault. Mark's longing for camaraderie became especially apparent not long after the launch of Displace, as his brother slowly began appearing less and less in his videos, forcing him to do these free runs by himself, which he implied was something he didn't enjoy nearly as much.
My brother, who was part of the channel then, he's not now. I don't think he's coming back at all. He ditched me, leaving me by myself, and I've got a problem with talking to myself as well.
This, coupled with the fact that he was dealing with the tribulations of growing up, led to his uploads on the channel becoming more and more sporadic, as he would often go dark for a few months, only to return with the promise of more consistent uploads.
Alright guys, don't know if you can see me or not.
It's like every YouTuber. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, every YouTuber would like. Well, I guess it's kind of no, it is kind of true. Like every YouTuber who goes away for a while, right? They then come back, then they tell you, you know, I'm back for good, guys. Don't worry, I'm gonna upload a lot, and then they upload 2 videos and they're gone again. Especially with reaction channel, there's so many reaction channel that I can think of that are like that. On the smaller side, right? But it is such a common thing. Yeah. I mean, motivation is a very flimsy thing, right? One day it's there, the next day it's gone again. That's what it is. Which is why I'm always thankful I've managed to maintain it for this channel. I mean, every single day for the last 4 years, 5 years. Like, in my life, I'm always very flimsy with motivation, but for this, I've managed to just keep it, which is crazy to me.
I promise you, Displace is coming back.
That often never came. It was clear that he still longed to be a YouTuber, he just needed some sort of a spark. And sure enough, at the end of 2020, he would find one right in his own comment section.
Okay.
In a since-deleted video, Mark would receive a comment from a man named Lewis Ashdown, who explained that he was a big fan of Mark's content and that he would love to join him in an upcoming video, as they both just so happened to live in Uckfield. It was exactly what Mark had been needing, a friend, and not only a friend, but a friend he could make videos with. And so that's exactly what he would do.
Hi guys,
Alright,
I'm back here
then.
with Lewis, and we're going to do the water treatment facility in Uckfield on the industrial estate. See you in a sec, guys.
From their first meeting on, Lewis became a core part of the Displaced channel, leading to the two growing closer by the day, with Mark speaking.
And the only channel like this that I actually watch these days, I used to watch more, that do like parkour / urban exploration, is Shie. He's very well known, right? He's one of the most well known in the space, I assume. I've been watching him since a long time ago. I mean, I remember watching the Chernobyl video when they were coming out back in 2018-19. And, you know, all of this kind of channel do a lot of the same thing of doing dangerous stuff that, you know, you would not recommend, right? Like, often uselessly dangerous stuff, but as part of the thrill, right? Watching it. I mean, you can't say it's always smart, but it is fun to watch. It is some great footage, exploring abandoned places and all that, rusty places and all that. So, I do understand the appeal. I mean, it's fun to watch, but it's definitely the kind of thing that I'm sure has, like, inspired a lot of kids to do something stupid, get themselves hurt or killed. But at the same time, there's something very enjoyable about Shie's video. It's kind of the only channel like that I watch. I don't really know the rest of the space, right? Oh, welcome back, Akumaru. Otsukare-sama.
Speaking about this bond on a live stream in March of 2021.
If you're going exploring at an abandoned pub,
yeah, keep your mate with you. Make sure he's someone you can trust. You know, and be careful is all I can say. Because in the video where me and Lewis climbed the college, you know, I was constantly looking out for him because he did get dangerously close to some of the edges, but you know, that's what life's about, isn't it?
But despite finding his new parkour partner, Mark still had other issues getting in the way of his uploads, as he was now 18 years old and was facing the...
I mean, I do have one idea, Kumalu, for that. Have you tried tweeting at Mr. Yupe? I mean, I don't know if he's the kind to like answer, but if you can tweet to him or like send him an email, you know, he would be the guy to tell you I did this song, right? So you might find it like that. I feel like that's the last resort, but you know, I feel like he would be the kind of guy to answer, no?
Reality of having to get a job, forcing him to put his channel on the back burner. Mark discussed this struggle and the many others he was facing at the time in that same March livestream, with his tone about Displace's future sounding less than optimistic.
I've been doing some talking with Lewis, seeming like he wants to get back into climbing and stuff. I haven't actually done it since Christmas, and I've got a bad back, right? It's been getting worse and worse lately. Don't know why. I need to go to the hospital and have myself checked out. I am not sure where my channel is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these videos. I don't know if I'm going to be doing different videos, or whether I'm going to stop completely.
But unlike other times when he had gotten down on his channel, this time he wasn't alone, and his friend Lewis was there to have his back, as he pushed Mark to continue his work, even showing up in the comments of this livestream under the name Moral Unknown, where he went as far as to offer up a potential location that they could film their next video in order to get Mark.
Okay, but if he has a bad back, don't stay behind his back, telling him to do more stuff that will break his back, you know? 2020, 2023? I see.
Mark re-inspired. We'll do Buxted Hotel first video back? And sure enough, just days later, the two would arrive at Buxted Hotel to begin filming yet another video.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Just having a little drink.
This would be their last on the Displaced channel, as not even 2 months after it was uploaded, both Mark Williams and Lewis Ashdown would vanish without a trace.
Did they both die? Man, it comes with the territory, I guess.
Saturday, May 29th, 2021, Mark met Lewis at the Maresfield Recreation Ground to have a few drinks and discuss their next potential video. Though once there, it was the drinks that took priority, and very quickly Mark had become intoxicated, leading to him calling his house to tell his aunt, who he had been living with, that he would be heading back now. On the call, his aunt could tell that he was drunk, but Lewis chimed in to assure her not to worry, telling her, "I'll get him home safe," which made his aunt feel slightly better. After all, it was only a short few-minute walk back to the house anyway.
And what happened?
Instead, 12 hours would pass, and Mark still hadn't made it back, while Lewis himself also failed to arrive home. At some point during their short walk back, both boys had disappeared. They were reported as missing the very next morning, and the area they were last in was combed thoroughly, though very little was uncovered. Around them had been large pockets of forest and murky bodies of water, leading to some questioning if perhaps the boys had gotten lost, or even had fallen into the water. Though regardless of the theories,
if they were
as a full
really
24
drunk, I'm
hours
sure
passed,
they did something
began to
stupid,
fear the worst, until something strange happened. Reports began pouring in from witnesses claiming to have seen Lewis. Some thought they saw him leaving a local pub the morning after he supposedly had gone missing, while others had seen him at a local movie theater, seemingly completely unaware that the whole town was looking for him.
Okay.
These sightings introduced the possibility that the boys were perhaps runaways, causing several pleas to be made throughout the press, begging them to come back home. But it would be the police who would find Lewis first, tracking him down at his friend named Liam Hansen's house.
It's probably like accidentally, like he's, you know, let the other one die and just try to act like he wasn't there or something.
There, the cops fired off a barrage of questions, as they not only tried to get answers as to where the boys had been, but more importantly now, they needed to know where Mark was. Throughout all the sightings, it was only ever Lewis that had been spotted, and even now, after searching this friend's home, Mark wasn't there either. So where had Mark Williams gone? Well, Lewis himself offered very little, outright refusing to speak on the boys' whereabouts. But his friend Liam wasn't so quiet, as when he was questioned separately, he claimed to know exactly what had happened on the night of May 29th, 2021, the day in which both boys had disappeared. And he knew because Lewis had told him. According to the boy, the night that Lewis and Mark had met at the park, Lewis poured a cocktail for his friend, and then another, and then another, each one stronger than the last, causing Mark to become drunk almost immediately. Realizing he was drinking too much, Mark told Lewis that he had enough, but Lewis
wasn't Mark like
persisted,
16, 17?
outright demanding that he keep drinking, leading to Mark begging Lewis to let him stop. At one point, Mark's pleas finally caused Lewis to back off, as the boy instead agreed to make him a non-alcoholic drink, only for him to fill the cup with even more liquor when Mark wasn't looking. By 11:30, Mark could barely stand, prompting him to make that phone call to his aunt, letting her know that he would be back soon. Meanwhile, Lewis had been so preoccupied with getting his friend drunk that he was still fairly sober at this point, and in his sober state, he promised Mark's aunt that he would get him home safe. Seconds after that phone call ended, Mark hunched over to vomit, which is precisely when Lewis pulled a large kitchen knife from his pocket and plunged it directly into Mark's back.
What
Mark
the fuck?
and asked Lewis to call him an ambulance, being unable to comprehend what had just happened. To which Lewis responded by laughing, before doing it again, and again, and again. This is what Lewis had told Liam in the days after the alleged attack, but as Liam recounted the story to the police, he made it clear that this wasn't just a tall tale, as he had actually seen it for himself. When Lewis had told him the story, he pulled out his phone and put it up to Liam's face, revealing that he had filmed the entire ordeal. And sure enough, when police searched Lewis's devices, they would find that footage, though it was far worse than they ever could have imagined.
Never trust a YouTube commenter.
Cell phone were 7 total videos depicting the attack, with the footage spanning nearly an hour in total, during which Mark had been stabbed 107 times, on top of having a number of other sadistic things done to him. And all the while, it was said that Lewis was giggling manically. When asked about what he had seen in those recordings, Liam provided further detail on just how awful the attack was, recounting that he ripped Mark's eyes out. Proper psychotic stuff. I was going into shock. I was shocked how he came out with it. I wanted to run and tell someone.
And yet you didn't.
This was clearly not a normal crime. It displayed a level.
And yet you fucking didn't until the cops came, I mean. Man. The only, like, thing about this that helps a little bit, I don't know how to put it, is like he was drunk to death, Mark, so, you know, he might have literally, like, it might not have been as horrible as if he wasn't drunk to death, but fuck, why?
Of evil and hatred that goes past human comprehension, and due to its brutality, police assumed that surely something must have happened between these two to breed so much hatred inside of Lewis. But according to Lewis, this wasn't actually the case. Instead, he stated that he had simply found Mark to be annoying, and that he had been wanting to kill him for some time because of this, and had just been waiting for the right moment. Plus, he always wanted to know what it was like to kill someone. And that was it. That was his entire motive. Lewis Ashdown would be arrested the day he was found, and later sentenced to life in prison, with parole eligibility in 25 years, while Mark's body was found dumped in a nearby body of water, and eventually given a proper burial.
Poor kid.
Hi guys, I'm back here with Lewis, and we're going to do the water treatment facility.
With this context, Mark's channel is utterly devastating. All he wanted was a friend to film videos with. But sure enough, as his mother had warned, he was trusting to a fault.
If you're going exploring at an abandoned pub, keep your
she was way too right. I mean, seriously, the man. Like, the one fucking YouTube commenter that tells him, you know, let's make a video together, and that one YouTube commenter is a fucking psychopath that wants to kill him. I mean, that's so fucking sad. I mean, like, the guy was like, you know, trying to figure out his life, trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his YouTube channel, trying to get a friend, and he ends up murdered by the friend he thought he made. So sad.
With you, make sure he's someone you can trust, you know, and be careful.
Which brings us to a disturbing revelation. Just months before he would kill Mark, Lewis was the one that encouraged him to get back out there and film with him, and based on his testimony that he had been wanting to kill Mark for a long time, it makes it very clear that he was doing this not to be a good friend, but to get Mark alone in an isolated spot, so that he could carry out his plan. And adding more weight to this theory, when they visited the Buxted Hotel, which Lewis himself had suggested during the livestream, Mark was uncharacteristically drunk.
Hi guys, I am with Lewis. Having a little drink. Okay, so we'll smash this after we smash these.
which was never really part of his channel before that upload. And Lewis was uncharacteristically nervous.
We're going to do a couple more bangers. Can't tell you what they are in case anyone's watching that shouldn't be watching.
Who's watching?
Well, no, I mean watching the videos. Because yeah, I know that the police do watch my channel.
It's even more like fucking ED, yeah, like it was literally from the beginning planning to kill him, so like all the video they made together, you know, this could have been the time he killed him, it just didn't. I mean, that's so fucked.
Paranoid even of being caught by the cops, despite being totally unfazed in previous videos, where in some he was literally being chased by security guards. And coincidentally, by the end of this video, we get an indication as to why Lewis was so nervous.
He already had the knife.
Because he had been carrying a knife.
Oh.
All this leads me to believe that that
Was
night,
good?
Lewis pushed
Are you
Mark to
happy?
film a video in an abandoned location, then got him drunk, and was going to carry through with the murder, before eventually backing out for unknown reasons. And all the while, Mark was completely unaware, never once suspecting that the man he had been filming with had secretly been plotting to kill him, and one day would actually go through with it.
Okay, I'll wrap it up now then.
I mean,
guys.
frankly, I can't even blame it on like Mark being young. Like, I think most people would not realize, like, you know, like this guy was probably convincing enough, and yeah, you had no idea that you had someone who wanted to kill you next to you. I mean, that's just insane. Seriously insane. Is that the other Miku?
Yeah,
Man,
I'll see ya.
so fucking sad.
I'm gonna try and stay on this
Rest in
side
peace,
and go
Mark.
across. Oh, this should be quite amusing. Enjoy.
Joshua Brown.
Joshua Brown started his YouTube channel back in 2010, a time when many
It's the biggest
individuals,
bike.
including himself, used the site to upload random videos offering momentary glimpses into their lives. Joshua was in his mid-30s at the time and had recently finished serving in the Navy, before eventually settling down in Canton, Ohio, where he focused on his many passions. He loved driving, he loved technology, and he loved a little bit of danger. And soon, he became infatuated with a product that was essentially the sum of all three.
Cars? Tesla?
For Joshua, these electric vehicles were a technological marvel and the future of the automotive industry, and he dreamed of one
electric
day having
vehicles.
one. With that dream eventually coming true in 2015 when he would purchase his very own Tesla Model S that would eventually become his life and his YouTube channel's primary focus. He began uploading videos of his new car immediately, but rather than these focusing on the vehicle itself, it was its most controversial feature that interested him the most:
Auto driving?
autopilot.
Yeah.
The feature had become available for Tesla drivers in October of 2015, which is exactly when Joshua purchased his car and began uploading these videos.
It's crazy to think 2015 they were already doing it. I feel like I still see offensive video today of like the autopilot of different companies breaking and doing something stupid. 2015, man.
Showcasing its possibilities.
It takes all the stress out of it. Get to your destination slightly slower, but hey, at least now you don't have to worry about anything. It's just let it go.
He wanted to
How do you not worry about anything?
essentially be a pioneer, providing an overview of what self-driving was really all about, breaking down the specifics and showcasing a variety of unique situations that you might find yourself in if you were to use this driving mode yourself.
This section in here is going to be very, very difficult for the car to handle. We're filming this just so that you can see scenarios where the car does not do well, so that you've got something to judge off of it when you're driving on your own.
And he tried to make a point of doing so safely, as he never used the camera behind the wheel, and always had someone helping him to avoid any accidents.
At least that's
Despite his
smart.
focus on safety, it was clear that he was pushing the capabilities of this brand new technology. As at this
Maybe
point,
I was like one of the rare time I was on Twitter the other day. I was looking at some art on some like artist Twitter, and then I just went to like, you know, regular feed or whatever, and of course it was full of like, you know, porn videos basically. And one of them was literally like, I think it was a Tesla probably, and the guy was sitting in the seat, the girl was on top of him, and it was self-driving, so like the guy was not sitting in front of him. Then she was bouncing her ass against the fucking wheel, and they didn't crash or anything, but it was still like the stupidest thing I've seen. I mean, I feel like, you know, eventually sure, but now it's like, it doesn't feel like it's like at the point where this makes sense. It's insane to put your life like in danger, trusting it solely. It's in infancy. It's in its infancy of like you know, the auto driving or whatever. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand how people do it. I mean, I'd be scared of even getting into one of these. I don't understand how people really like fully trust it. Yeah. The Cybertruck headlight collects snow because it's concaved.
It was still in its infancy, with one of the more glaring red flags being the placement of his hands.
Here we are, stop and go traffic on 271 and...
Daddy Elon. Camera rip, give me a sec. Alright, sorry about that as always.
These car's doing it all itself.
When Joshua was shown driving, he hardly ever had his hands on the wheel, as he said he wanted to get the true experience of self-driving. This was something that Tesla had actually adamantly advised against, and even had visual and audible warnings if it detected that your hands were off the steering wheel. But Joshua seemed to find a workaround, as he instead used his legs to avoid tripping the sensor, while keeping his hands close by, ready to grab the wheel in case of an emergency.
How I actually do it is so that it is really actually hands-free, is I keep my knees up, because...
It's way too much trust, I mean, man. Like, all it takes is one mistake and you're dead. It's too much trust.
The tack works pretty good, but
especially because, again, like, this was literally like the beginning of this technology, like in the first year or whatever. How can you trust it that much? I mean, man.
So get my foot down to a brake and just keep it like this because you can react so quickly.
It was clear that Joshua truly believed that this car that was driving him was safe, and this belief was only strengthened on April 5th of 2016.
All betting on themselves even if you survive.
That day, Joshua had been driving his car on the interstate when a large truck suddenly merged into his lane, with its driver not even seeing his car. And before Joshua could even react, the autopilot kicked in and veered out of the way, avoiding what would have been a certain collision. Amazed by the event, Joshua would upload dashcam footage of the close call to his YouTube channel, where he praised the vehicle's response. Tessie did great. Excellent job, Elon. This video would immediately go viral, exploding to over 4 million views between the two versions that Joshua had posted. But while the response to this video was overwhelming, especially for a channel that was accustomed to getting just a few hundred views.
I guess I can't laugh. At that time, I think Elon was still popular, right? Like, he hadn't really revealed himself yet, so everybody was, you know, he's just like a cool tech guy who's doing cool stuff for humanity. That was the perception at the time.
There was one response in particular that impacted Joshua the most. As Tesla's owner, Elon Musk, would repost the video on Twitter. Stunned by the tweet, Joshua would later state, "For something to catch Elon Musk's eye, I can die and go to heaven now." He had no way of knowing then, but this would not be the last time that Elon Musk would tweet about him. Though his next feature would be under much different circumstances. I guess if you had 13, you start to remember all your kids.
I'd forget too.
It happened just 1 month after Joshua Brown's video had gone viral. He died. He was driving on Highway 27 on a clear sunny day at approximately 4 p.m. With over the road ahead, Joshua turned on his trusted autopilot, and it stayed in autopilot mode for over half an hour, as at this point, his trust in the car was higher than ever, causing Joshua to seemingly lose focus on the road, as he was quickly coming up on an intersection where a massive 18-wheeler had been turning left, blocking Joshua's entire lane. Joshua was seemingly so unfocused that he didn't even notice it. Even stranger, the car itself didn't detect this either, despite the entire trailer being horizontal in their lane. This was due to its pure white body, as the sun was shining so brightly against it that, for whatever reason, it became invisible to the self-driving AI. And with neither Joshua nor the car registering the danger that they were in, the vehicle...
It's basically like you have like a technology gun that you're pointing at your head, and there's supposedly a safety, right? So you believe that no matter what, if you shoot, it won't shoot because it knows it's pointing at your head. Like, why would you do that? Even if you really believe that it's not gonna shoot, you're literally like risking shooting yourself in the head. This is the same thing. Like, even if you believe it's not gonna crash, why risk it?
Would strike the trailer, going 74 miles per hour. There were no attempts by Joshua to even move the steering wheel, and the brakes hadn't so much as been tapped. The collision happened at full speed, and it happened so fast that the car drove straight through underneath, shearing the entire top of the vehicle off, and continuing driving full speed down the road, before it would eventually crash to a halt. When the driver of the truck rushed over to see the damage,
some Final Destination
Joshua Brown was already dead, and the truck driver could hear nothing but the sound of Harry Potter.
You can own it on DVD and video.
Okay. That's not what I thought. That's not what I thought he would say. Okay. Well. Okay.
The is bigger. The magic is stronger.
So he was watching Harry Potter when he died, huh?
Discovered in Joshua Brown's car was a DVD player, which many believe Joshua had used to watch Harry Potter while on that drive, thus explaining why he never reacted to the impending collision. Now, this is something that has been disputed by his family, and ultimately it doesn't seem to have been fully proven or disproven. But in the end, the fault of the accident was placed mainly on the driver of the truck, who had made that left turn, and Joshua Brown, who had failed to pay attention to the road, as it was revealed that during his 37-minute drive, he only had his hands on the wheel for just 25 total seconds. Joshua Brown always wanted to be part of the innovation of Tesla's autopilot, and in doing so, he wrote himself into the history books as being the first person to ever perish in a self-driving accident. And while this is no doubt a tragedy, his death has led to numerous safety improvements and a better understanding of the self-driving technology that he had given his life to study.
I mean, sure, but I don't know if you can really portray him as a hero of, like, progress, right? Like, you know, rest in peace, it's sad, but he felt like more like a follower type, you know, like, wow, I believe so much in you, Elon, you know, this should be fine. At the same time, it's not even he believed in Elon, right? Like, Elon literally said at the time, don't keep your hands off the wheel, and this guy still did. Like, I don't know. There'll always be deaths for, like, new technology and the advancement of it, especially something like self-driving, sure. But, like, this guy was asking for it. I mean, 2015, like, technology is super new. Everybody knows how dangerous it is to drive and to crash, and yet he believed it to that extent. I understand that, you know, he drove multiple times and he didn't have any problem yet, but come on, you can't, like, if you've ever used technology, you can't trust technology that much, right? My fucking phone, my fucking PC, whatever it is, like, there's always some problem, you know, but it's not about to kill me, but a fucking car, it's about to kill me or someone else. I don't know. Like, there was, like, a no survival instinct and no care for other people's life, right? Like, this was lucky it didn't kill other people. Seriously. The end. Okay, well, another really good video. Another banger from Mr. Crowley. I mean, always side his videos, but very interesting. Always some very, like, simple lesson kind of case, I would say. Like, it's easy to learn something from it. Or sometimes it's just very tragic. Tragic. Alright, and the one with the parkour kid is so freaking sad, I can't believe it.